What's crack-a-lack? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you didn't know. So today we're talking about fantasy football wide receivers. Who should you target in your upcoming fantasy football draft? Now, I'm personally going to be going running back heavy, so I'm covering receivers in the 4th round or later. But before you do that, go ahead and give me a subscribe and click that like button. Helps the channel immensely if you didn't already know that. Strange how that works. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's dive in to Julian Edelman. Edelman is the favorite target of Tom Brady, and now with Gronk gone, I think we'll see an increase in volume. More touches, more opportunities. Since 2013, with Gronk out of the lineup, Edelman averaged almost 3 more targets per game and over more than 1 reception per game. Wild. Since 2015, he has only 3 games with less than 6 targets. Last year, Edelman finished as a wide receiver 2 or better in 75% of his games and would give you consistency, especially if you're going to go running back heavy in the draft like I am. Now, right now, you got the ADP of the 4th round, and he provides safe value at your wide receiver position if he stays healthy. Next, we got Chris Godwin. If you're the type of person who likes to gamble, then choo-choo, hop on the hype train that is Chris Godwin. With a current ADP of the 4th round, the risk versus reward is real. I mean really real. So real, it scares me. Now, I personally would still err on the side of caution and take Edelman before Godwin, but there is a case to be made that Godwin is worth drafting that high. With Mike Evans taking a large share of the targets, it'll be Godwin and O.J. Howard vying for those targets. But with Bruce Arians now in town, we know this team will be pass first. Back in Arizona, Bruce Arians got a lot of production out of the slot. Granted, this was Larry Fitzgerald in the slot. Now, with Evans playing a majority of his snaps outside, I think Godwin is the lead candidate to play a majority out of the slot. In the last 2 years, Godwin is 9th in contested catch rate and 9th in overall receiving grade, and this is by Pro Football Focus. So there's a ton of upside if given the volume. Now, the volume should be there with Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries now gone. Also, Godwin got 12 red zone targets in 2018, so it's a very sexy looking stat there. Right now, we're talking about Tyler Lockett. Right now, with the ADP of the 5th round, Lockett provides huge upside after finishing as a wide receiver 11 last season in PPR leagues. Since 2009, Lockett boasts a passer rating of 127.4 when targeted, which is first among receivers with 200 or more targets. 59% of his snaps actually came out of the slot last year, and now with Doug Baldwin gone, we can see Lockett move full-time to the slot, and he's posted the 3rd best numbers in the slot over the last 2 seasons. He has been practicing out of the slot in workouts, so there is proof in the pudding to believe that he'll be taking more snaps in the slot. This will hurt his air yards and that almost 15 yards per target, but with that comes more touches and more opportunity. Volume is everything when it comes to drafting, and I don't mind putting my stock in one of the best route runners in the league, especially since he has a future Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson, at quarterback. Last season, Tyler Boyd saved my fantasy team. Boyd's current ADP is in the 6th round, and I'm here to tell you he is worth every penny. He finished at wide receiver 17 despite missing 2 games last season, and I know there's some worries if AJ Green stays healthy that Boyd's production will drop, but it is in fact the opposite. Pro Football Focus ranked them as the 5th top receiving duo headed into 2019. In 2018, the 9 games that they played together both finished with top 10 receiving grades. Boyd averaged 80 receiving yards when Green was on the field, and that went down to 62 yards per game when Green was out. The truth of the matter is Tyler Boyd is better when Green is on the field, and if Green can stay healthy, that only bodes well for Boyd. Zach Taylor's offense will be throwing more, and Boyd will get more opportunity to replicate that 2018 campaign. Now, let's get to those deeper round sleepers, and let's start with Kiki QT. QT is a very, and I mean very, viable option if that hamstring is healthy. With an ADP of the 11th round, you can get this stud on your team, especially in those PPR leagues. When he was able to stay healthy on the field, he averaged 9 targets, almost 8 receptions for 76 yards. He gets tremendous volume, and in that playoff game against the Colts, he went for 11 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. Some might worry that those opportunities will dip if Will Fuller stays healthy. However, when they were healthy, QT still had 11 more targets than Fuller and only 9 fewer than DeAndre Hopkins. That type of potential in the 11th round is ludicrous and is worth the pick given the upside. Now, let's talk about Marquez Valdes-Scantling. This one's a bit more of a dart throw than QT, but MVS, I believe, has the bigger upside and not the injury woes of QT. From week 5, he averaged 5 targets a game in 2018, and reports are that MVS is running out of 2 wide receiver sets with Devontae Adams. He has the versatility to play in the slot, but Geronimo Allison's role in the offense leaves me wondering if MVS will get that opportunity. Matt LaFleur's offense should be more dynamic, which only helps MVS's case for a breakout season, so keep an eye on training camp and preseason. And we're going real deep here. I got Marquise Lee. This pick is purely based on upside. For the first time in years, there seems to be a stability at quarterback for the Jags. With D.D. Westbrook probably operating out of the slot, who will be their number 1 on the outside? Anyone remember Marquise Lee? I do, and that's why I'm here to tell you about him. Lee went down with an ACL tear, and he missed all of 2018. But in 2017, Lee had 35% of the team's air yards and 23% of their targets. The Jags were so impressed with Lee that they gave him an extension and let Allen Robinson walk in free agency. Now, Lee won't be ready till preseason, but you're potentially grabbing Foles' number 1 target. Between 2016 and 2017, he finished as a wide receiver 3 or better in 59% of his games, and you can get him in the 14th round. Yes, there are red flags given the ACL, but this late in the draft, you should be picking guys with big upside, and Lee's can be huge. Now, let's talk about who's fantasy relevant for the Dolphins, because that's something you don't often hear. I know I'm a Dolphins fan, but I'm talking about Albert Wilson. Wilson's on track to play in week 1 after missing the final 9 games with a hip injury. He's currently projected going undrafted in many leagues. In those 7 games he played, he registered 26 receptions, 391 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He averaged 13.3 after the catch last year, which was first among all receivers with at least 5 catches. He's easily the top receiver in Miami, and he becomes a little more tantalizing if Ryan Fitzpatrick wins the quarterback job. Now, Fitzpatrick, he loved his deep threats. His deep threat last year in Tampa was Deshaun Jackson, who had 774 yards receiving. Now, 624 of those yards came from the 8 games Fitzpatrick played, as well as all 4 of Jackson's touchdowns. Wilson provides a lot of basically potential value for a guy who you're basically getting for free at this point. That's it for the video. Go ahead, thumbs up, you know what to do, hit the red button, but until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.